Hello and welcome, Must Players, to episode 4 of 2019. Huge show this week, not because we had Star Wars Celebration or a new Game of Thrones or anything else super duper special.
So this is just streaming our stream.
Alright, that means you're paying for dinner next week. But it's also been a huge it's a news week for us because Fish is having a baby. Yay! Mesa got to ride a tractor. Yay! And I got engaged, so it's all going well. Thank you if you are watching.
Of course I know that. How did that happen? Did you get down on the knee?
Yeah, of course I got down on the knee. How else do you do it? Anyway, Jules did nothing, but he did get to witness Star Wars Celebration, which is basically his most anticipated event of all time. Which
That was a pretty big deal.
We will talk about a little bit later on, but there's been so much else that's happened this week, so we wanted to touch on a few things first. So, Jules, Disney Plus was a huge one early in the week. We've had time to settle. I mean, what are we really getting?
All right, well, firstly, I hope it comes here for us in November, not just the US.
I know, right?
Because that's the big thing. They've talked it up like it's this game-changing new streaming service. So fingers crossed it comes our way. We're going to have 500 movies at launch, 7,500 episodes of TV shows. This ranges from Disney content, Nat Geo content. It's also got, I don't know, for the kids, all the Nickelodeon content. Is it Nickelodeon? Sorry?
Mate, as long as they've got
Disney.
As long as they've got the original Pixar and all the original animated films, I can't see a parent in the entire world not spending $8 a month to make sure their kid has access to Frozen. Like, it doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't buy this.
It's like when the Disney Channel became a thing. Like, everybody wanted that. Every kid needed Disney Channel. Now you have on-demand Disney. You have the Disney Vault, which is a big deal. They used to send those things away for years, and you'd have to wait until they release it on DVD again. So all the animated classics, we got it all now. This is fantastic.
You got Netflix, Mesa?
Yeah.
Do you care at all about Disney Plus?
No.
Why not? Every week. What a Debbie Downer. Why not?
Because I've got Netflix, I've got Stan, and I've got Amazon Prime. And there's nothing that I would really watch on the Disney one.
What do you watch on Stan?
TV shows,
Stan is
James
sick.
Bond. Yeah, there's heaps of good stuff on Stan.
Stan's really good for movies.
Yeah, and my wife watches a RuPaul Drag Race.
Oh, yes. But there are some big shows on this, right? Like, we've got The Mandalorian.
Yep.
Star Wars stuff. We got all the Marvel shows, the Loki
We
show.
have 3 Marvel shows coming to Disney Plus, which is WandaVision, which is a strange name. The Loki show, which we don't really know a whole lot about, other than it's going to have Loki in it. And Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That is the one I'm most excited for.
Yes. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be great. And I think it's quite interesting because there's been so many interviews with a lot of the Marvel cast since Endgame is coming out next week. And a lot of the people they've spoken to are sort of, the heads of these industries, whether it be Kevin Feige for Marvel or even Kathleen Kennedy for Star Wars. And just the way they're talking about it, no longer just being a movie business for them, that they're going to integrate these franchises into the greater storytelling, but on Disney Plus instead. I don't think anyone who's a fan of Marvel or Star Wars can really pass up the opportunity, regardless of whether or not you think it's worth it. Mind you, this thing is it's $7.99. Oh, sorry, no, $7 US a month.
Yeah. At launch, though.
At launch.
Yeah.
Admittedly, that might go up, but they've also offered, if you sign up for 12 months, it's only $70 for the year, which is a discount. So not only is it cheaper than what the basic Netflix is in the States already, but you get a discount if you sign up for the entire year rather than just go by month to month. So I know it's a competitive space, and I don't expect it to stay that cheap for that long, but it's a pretty competitive price point. I can't see, particularly for us here in Australia, given Stan is really pushing how much Disney content it's got for now.
Yeah.
As soon as that expires,
That's
Disney
got to be on a
Plus rolls out.
contract. It's got to disappear.
Yeah,
as soon
it
as
will.
comes
It
out.
is. It is on the contract.
But let's not just forget, it's Star Wars, Marvel, We've also got The Simpsons calling Disney Plus their new home.
Yes. See, that's the biggest selling point for me, honestly, because I've been wanting to rewatch some of The Simpsons, but I don't think it's streaming anywhere at the moment.
Well, it sounds like it's not going to be the end of The Simpsons. From what we've read, it's the new home of The Simpsons. So new episodes are going to be released on Disney Plus exclusively.
It just won't die, but I will watch those episodes now that if they're streaming.
And I must say, the little Twitter video they put out where they were praising their new Disney overlords was excellent. It was genuinely great. So Disney Plus, lots to like. We had an article up online, mustplay.net.au, if you want to catch up on all the finer details. We also put a video together for that one. Let's segue into the tech world. We haven't discussed tech for quite some time, but there was a really interesting video that came out this week. Mind you, It's always about smartphones when we talk about tech, because what else do you have in your pocket permanently? Meso, you are our cameraman. So do you want to run us through what Huawei is trying to do, or are you too busy over there?
Well, this is freakish, this video we're watching now. This is the zoom on the new Huawei phone. And as you can see, it is insane quality.
You're just
zoom.
waiting for it to go.
Yeah. And even that,
you can
that's
see the
someone's
detail
holding
on
that.
these checkers. From,
Yeah. And someone's holding that in their hand. So just the shake alone in your hand, normally, when you zoom in, everything gets a bit shaky. That is still fairly still.
Do we think it's fake?
I played with the phone in JB Hi-Fi today.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a look at the settings. It's
It's legit.
It's legit.
It is an amazing.
I have no
bit of-
idea how they've done it, because that's not digital. They must have like a slightly more beefy camera lens at the back. Because how do you get 50 times optical zoom on something with no?
It's got to
lens?
be. It's got to be some part digital in some sort of algorithm they've written up to enhance it like that. Because there's no way you can get that zoom on a
That's
lens.
some CSI.
Essentially, yeah. It is enhance.
But that stabilizer is
It's nuts, isn't it?
outstanding.
Yeah.
I just can't
Unreal.
believe it.
But I don't know what you'd ever use it for on your phone though.
Spying
Well,
on
for that.
people.
Well,
It's
the only
fine.
thing,
I'm
the only
looking
thing
at
you
people
do,
playing checkers
the
down
only thing
the
you do
street.
on your phone is take a selfie or take a landscape. So you're not going to
Some
need
other
50
test
times.
I saw was
zoom.
some guy in an airport and he's just zooming in on people's faces from like
Yeah.
100 meters away.
It is the phone for the common creep.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
That's
Like,
the market.
is it a selling point?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're right. Like that's cool, but I still don't want one.
It is
I'm
cheaper
happy
than
with
an
iPhone.
It's much cheaper than an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the Huawei is now the phone for the stalkers.
Yep.
And we know, well, maybe it's there just to build Chinese intelligence as well, because Chinese brand, they're trying to infiltrate basically everywhere with their Belt and Road
They
initiative.
can see it all now.
Might as well have the cameras on the back of the phone
And they've also
infiltrating us as
they've
well.
been kicked out of every country for 5G as well.
Yeah.
So, get a super zoom. They can stay in China and zoom into America.
Admittedly, I've got a bit of a problem with camera phones and people that are recording things anyway at the moment, because there's been a huge spoiler. I mean, you can tell. We've got the Infinity Gauntlet behind me. We've got the Avengers behind Meso there. We're excited for Endgame. It's going to be huge. It's like less than a week away. In fact, I think it premieres in exactly a week here in Australia on a Wednesday night before Anzac Day, which is really bizarre. But a week out, we got this seemingly ambiguous letter from the directors, the Russo Brothers, asking for the fans to steer clear of social media. If they see the movie, don't post any spoilers. And I honestly thought they were just trying to be nice, to say don't spoil it for anyone else. They've done that with major movies before, but it turns out that it was revealed later in the day that roughly a 5-minute clip had been revealed, Jules. I mean, something had leaked online.
It leaked.
Now I'm asking you because you're
I'm
the
the
one
stupid one.
who went to the hashtag, and of course the hashtag don't spoil the Avengers.
The Russo brothers put out this letter, and there was a hashtag down the bottom saying "Don't spoil the end game." I clicked it, and now I've seen things, and I cannot unsee.
Endgame was spoiled. But it's like, you put out a letter like this and you're just asking trolls to act
That's
on
exactly
this.
right.
Like, it's
as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's the first thing people are gonna do.
like,
They're
I
gonna
think it's
abuse
great.
it.
I think it's great that they are, and like, yes, please don't be a jerk. Don't spoil it.
Just put
Like,
that up, but
it's
don't put a
gonna
hashtag.
happen.
Just don't put the hashtag.
That was
Yeah.
an advertisement for trolls. That was.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm
It was
still-
designating a hashtag for them.
Yeah.
You know what though? Regardless of the hashtag, you're never safe. Like the thing is, you
No.
almost need to be on a complete social media blackout. I'll never forget, and we'll talk about Game of Thrones a bit later. But in the last season, I was genuinely just trying to look up anything to do with my favourite football club, which is the Collingwood Football Club, and I searched hashtag Buckley because I knew he'd done a press conference that day. No shit. Hashtag Buckley. First thing I saw, Littlefinger dies. Hashtag Buckley. No relevance whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I was so determined to go home and watch Game of Thrones that night. And just out of nowhere, Twitter just destroys everything. So just steer clear. It's online.
Yeah.
Steer clear.
Can I just ask, without obviously spoiling it, how significant was the spoiler? Like, what's out there? We don't want to know, but how significant is it?
On a rating of 1 to 10. 10, you've seen the whole film.
I've seen about a 9.
You said a 9.
No.
Are you kidding? It's that bad.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But it's not going to ruin the movie for me. I'm still going to go and see it. It's,
Yeah.
Wow.
That's hit me like a ton of bricks.
I didn't think it'd
A
be a
9 is
9.
ridiculous. Anyway, we'll see what happens after we go watch it next week. We'll give you a verdict on how bad the leak was. Truly.
and I'll talk to you about what I saw. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about something you'd be happy about then, Jules. Star Wars Celebration was held this weekend. It was something that we spoke about extensively last week, trying to work out exactly what we might see from the new movie, the new games, all of the above. You've had one of the better weeks of your 2019
My hopes and
so far.
dreams, they came true this week.
Well, why don't we start with the new trailer, because that was the headline act. It was the first thing we saw. We've now got a name for the 9th film, which is Rise of the Skywalker, which I thought was a really
Rise of Skywalker,
which I thought was a really bad name when I first
Rise of Skywalker.
heard it. There's something about it that just doesn't seem right to me. I don't like it.
If my theory is correct, it's all right for me.
Well, what's your theory?
All right, my theory is that the Jedi are no more, and that everyone is a Skywalker. All the Force users are now Skywalkers.
That is
Do
absolutely
you like
terrible.
that? Do you like
Are you
that
hoping
theory?
for that?
Do you want that?
That's my theory.
I don't
Are
think.
you happy with this theory?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
You know, I am a Skywalker now.
Yeah,
God, I'm
true.
disappointed with that. Anyway,
Well, what's your theory?
well, it's not that.
Rey is a Skywalker.
No, absolutely not. I hate that too. I like the fact that she's a nobody. I think it just points to the.
But she's not a nobody.
It points to
Can't
the.
be a nobody.
It points
She's
to the
going to be like
redemption of.
Palpatine's daughter or something.
That's bad. You want her to be a nobody.
See, that's what I'm thinking. We were talking about this
For
the
sure.
other day.
She's gotta be
You hear
connected to
Palpatine at the
Palpatine.
end of the. He's laughing at the end of the
Yeah.
teaser.
There
Right?
are some fantastic.
Which I didn't. That got me. I didn't think that was coming. I didn't think we'd
I
see
didn't.
Palpatine again. So now that he's back in the mix, did he just like force lightning Rey into existence? I don't know. Like
Yes, it's the midichlorians, bro.
midichlorians.
Not only that, I mean, in terms of the Emperor himself, it seems as though they'll be going back to the destroyed Death Star in some way, shape, or form.
Which is very cool.
I thought it had honestly just been blast into oblivion. It doesn't look like there's a single skerrick of that thing left, but apparently this giant chunk is just sitting in an ocean somewhere. We can't find MH370, but we can find this gigantic chunk of the Death Star, which is on a foreign planet after being blasted into non-existence.
So do we think that the Emperor is still in said shell of Death Star? He's like got a little tower inside there because he got thrown.
He got
He's in
thrown.
the middle
Yeah,
there
but it
somewhere.
also exploded.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be the second Death Star. Though,
It
right?
was. That's the second
Yeah.
Death Star he got
And then we also have-
vaporized in.
We also have Starkiller Base, which was the big Death Star ripoff in Force Awakens. So
There's too many Death Stars at this point in time. It's hard to keep track.
we
but
can't get away from it.
in terms of what we saw, I mean, there was nothing more exciting to me than that opening shot of Rey running away from what looks to be Kylo's TIE fighter and doing that sick backflip
Oh,
over
the
the
flip
top.
over it.
Just as the music really starts to kick in. It looks great. I can't wait. Still can't believe it's so far away. It feels like we've had so much content for films that have been huge this year or going to be huge by way of trailers or highlights or whatever it is. And, you know,
And
we've
they've
seen so
only
much of...
just dropped
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
It's great.
So I don't know. We'll see if the
I was
hype
hopeful
continues.
for a poster, but we got a trailer.
all,
and
yeah.
that-
I
And it
actually
was-
thought the trailer gave too much away.
What do you think
What's
it's
all
giving
about?
away?
What do we know?
Well, Palpatine's laugh.
What does that mean, though?
Well,
They could have
how
saved that
sick
for
would
the
it been,
second
though, if
trailer.
you didn't know that and you go in the movie and then you hear it in the
Yeah.
movie, you would just be sitting in the theater going, you know, jumping out of your seat.
Oh, they got to sell it somehow.
It's
After-
Star
after-
Wars. You don't need to sell
After The
Star
Last
Wars.
Jedi, though, people weren't happy with The Last Jedi.
Yeah. I don't know.
loved it.
I
Loved the last.
I
Jedi.
liked The Last Jedi, yeah, too. But
but
I just
it
think
has
it gave a bit away.
divided the fandom. But I agree with you. I honestly I wouldn't even have needed to see a trailer. I keep banging on about this. Like I don't really want to watch trailers anymore, especially for these big movies that we're already going to go see.
Yeah.
You've already got me. Like if tickets for Star Wars came on sale tomorrow, I'd be on the phone getting them. Like that's
Yeah, exactly.
it's happening.
You don't need to sell
So-
it. You don't need to give those little, you know, dangle the carrots.
But I did jump out of my seat when I heard the Palpatine laugh, even though I was only watching it on my phone.
It took me a little while. You know when you know it's somebody's laugh in particular, but you just think, no, this can't be real.
Well, it's not
What's
Ricky
going on? You have this
Gervais.
internal
What's
struggle.
it going to be?
But I would have loved to have been there at Star Wars Celebration because right after that, Ian McDermott, the man who plays Emperor Palpatine, came out onto the stage and just said, "Roll it again," and they played the trailer. It just sounds
That's
like it would have been
awesome.
fantastic for the fans there.
I do have a theory about the flipping scene. I think they're training. I think that Kylo Ren and Rey have hooked up in some
Just
way.
playing TIE Fighter tennis.
I'd be.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping that would happen at the end of Last Jedi. I was disappointed that it wasn't them two teaming up to do something. in
Yeah,
this
like
last movie.
I still feel that ship hasn't.
You
failed,
don't need to
you know what I
ignite
mean?
your lightsaber for a training exercise. If you wanted to flip over it, you just flip over it.
you flip over it. You got to make sure that
Mate,
that doesn't
style.
burn you.
You
man.
got to
Like, it's
train.
training.
You got to train the way you're going to play. All right.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
got to go
Like,
hard for the tackle and
Like,
training.
it's one
Otherwise,
thing to do a flip.
I'm lobbing your own leg off. If
Exactly.
You don't have that thing, you might do a flip. And...
One thing to do a flip, it's another to do a flip with an open lightsaber. So I don't know. Like I feel like it might
Extreme
be
training.
just the way that she's standing there and the way she's kind of waiting for it to happen. Like it could be her powers. I don't know, but like I feel like there's a team up going on.
I personally reckon that is not necessarily a dream sequence, but that's some sort of that's not.
I have
actually
dabbled
happening.
in that before. Yes.
Anyway, let's not worry about the movie. The trailer's great. Go watch it if you haven't seen it
Yes.
before. But we've got so much time to wait for that. We might as well talk about something else, which is going to take an eternity to come out, which is the Fallen Order. This is what our poll was on last week. What do you think EA is going to do with this next big Star Wars game, which is being developed by Respawn, the company which, of course, released Titanfall and Titanfall 2?
Which I think is the best single-player campaign that I've played. Titanfall.
Yes, it is excellent.
Yes.
And our question to you was, are they going to absolutely butcher it like they did with Battlefront 2 in terms of microtransactions, or are we going to see this be EA's redemption? And it looks pretty good so far, Fish.
Yeah.
Some of our questions were answered as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think the trailer looks fantastic. I'm, coming up as a young Padawan, and you've got. I just want to be a Jedi, man. So this is how you get to do it, right? And I actually quite liked Battlefront 2. I'm not really a multiplayer gamer, so I was very happy with the single player aspect of that.
It was the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
It was a story.
It was not a story.
It came in.
There were a few episodes where you got to play as Luke. Or
Yeah, it was
something.
fantastic.
They
Don't be
were-
silly.
they
I
were
played.
good.
I played it through like 2 times. I loved it. So if they're actually focusing on a narrative, that this is what they should be doing with Star Wars. Like the whole thing is that the whole extended Star Wars universe, it all matters.
It should be the perfect RPG.
Yeah.
Well, what we're looking at now, this is in-game engine.
Yeah,
Trailer.
cutscenes.
Yeah.
So I guess this is what the game's going to look like, just not as...
They can do a lot with cutscenes.
They would
though,
be the
that
cutscenes
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
game. I don't know if
yeah.
the playable, if the gameplay footage is that good, but EA have they've butchered everything in the last year and a bit. You just hope they. I'll tell you what though, Respawn though are the guys behind Apex Legends as well, and that's the best release that EA's had.
Yeah.
So if they're
Yeah.
teaming up again, then hopefully it all goes well.
Well, they're promising single player only, no multiplayer, no microtransactions.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Aren't they making their own system of like lightsaber fighting for this
Yeah,
game?
yeah.
It's not like just ripping off Assassin's Creed or
Not that
something.
we've seen
like,
it yet, but it sounds like
Yeah.
that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
Sounds like
I have a feeling it's going to be a very polished game. Like
They'd want it to be.
I hope so.
And
Well, I think there was a timeline for it. It goes back like 6 or 7 years. It's a really long development cycle for this thing, so let's hope it's good.
Oh, really? Thank you.
I'm just going to say I love that single player games are back
I know,
because
right?
everyone was saying single player games are dead, but we've just have God of War, Red Dead, all those
Yeah.
games. They're fantastic. So I'm glad that this one's just solely focused
Starting to
on a
listen.
good story.
We also had Spider-Man last year, which
Spider-Man,
was great
sorry.
as well.
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
of Us 2 is coming
Yeah.
out later
Yeah.
on. It's going to be good.
Good.
Smaller announcements. The big game, the big movie. There's been plenty else that was announced, Jules. I mean, The Mandalorian.
Well, yeah,
was
we
one
mentioned
thing.
The Mandalorian before. They did show a scene from The Mandalorian at Star Wars Celebration, but they blocked it off for the live stream, so only people there could view it. Jon Favreau failed to tell anyone, though, not to record it, so it appeared online pretty much instantly. So I did watch it. I've seen it. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty keen for it. That'll be on Disney Plus at launch.
Oh, it's at launch. Yeah,
at
right
launch.
on. Well, I'm definitely getting it.
But, you know, if it's at launch on Disney Plus, let's hope it's here.
Yeah.
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 If Disney Plus
Oh,
isn't
that
here,
would
then
be
might not be
such a
Australia.
tease.
then it's going to be illegally downloaded.
Yeah.
Just speaking of bad release dates, Arrested Development. There's a brand new season out in the US, and it's not here in Australia, and I
Yeah.
can't work out why.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's like, what is Netflix holding back?
But didn't that happen to the last season as well? Like season
No.
6 or whatever the last
It was,
one
no,
was?
no, it was
I thought
released
it was-
within like
yeah.
a week or two.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't a long gap. There was a gap, but it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got distracted there. There's 2 more things we want to talk about. There's a new season of The Clone Wars, which you
They're
love,
bringing it
Julesy.
back, so it finished.
Yeah.
But the 5 seasons of the Clone Wars, I watched it obviously.
Obviously.
It was really great. People look at it and they go,
I
"Oh,
liked
it's a
it.
bit childish," but
Yeah, I quite
no,
liked it.
it's really in-depth look at the Clone Wars, and
Yeah.
you meet a whole load of new characters. Stop looking at me like
No,
that.
sorry, I just love
I know, this-
watching you try to justify your nerdom. It's great.
This is the 4th Star Wars item tonight.
This is your episode, Jules.
Yeah,
Right? We're
yeah.
taking
Take
a
it
back
away,
seat,
baby.
so that if you want to,
Alright.
just express your love,
Cool,
go
cool.
for it.
So everyone, shut up for a second. So the Clone Wars introduced us to characters like Ahsoka Tano,
Yeah.
which was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. We got to see the return of Darth Maul, a fan favorite there.
Yeah, Darth Maul's sick.
And we saw in the new teaser trailer for the Clone Wars that Ahsoka and Darth Maul have a bit of a fight.
Bit of a scuffle.
Yeah, we also get to see these clones trooper squad called Bad Batch, and they were like experimental clones that. I don't know. We'll see how they go.
We're a bad batch.
They are a bad batch.
Something went wrong there.
So are they
Just like the ecstasy tablets that keep roaming around our Australian
Bad
music
batch.
festivals and killing people, we've
batch.
got the
Yeah,
the
Star
bad
Wars
of
equivalent.
of the clones? Is it finishing off?
This will
The
be.
Clone
This
Wars,
will
or
finish it off.
this is
it
the
didn't
last
really
season?
finish.
Yeah, I remember it got cancelled.
So there's going to be
right?
12 episodes of this enhanced graphics as well. They've put really stepped it up for this
Yeah, cool.
last season.
Because that's the only thing I found, because I did go back and watch maybe the first 2 seasons when Force Awakens came out, and I found it was, it's a bit dated animation-wise,
Yeah.
and that was the only thing that held me off, because I found the content of it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good.
And even though I was just ripping into you for being a man-child, I get super excited anytime there's a new Lego game coming out, and there's a sort of a leak for one.
Yes.
It seems like we're
It's
getting
completely offhanded. Like we didn't. It wasn't even followed up with a question. It was just, and we're working on a new Lego game. And then,
Well,
You
just-
just,
then
you
that
just
was
have to
it.
hit copy and paste, don't you, to get a new Lego game?
Well, there's a whole
Hey.
new Star Wars movie coming out later, so that's a whole.
I mean, you're not wrong. You do the same thing in every single one.
You got to build those things, man.
They didn't make one for The Last Jedi.
Mm.
So the Force Awakens Lego one, I don't know if you played it, but I thought it was pretty cute, pretty fun. And I reckon that this new one that they're going to bring out is going to be every single Star Wars movie in the one package.
Every one, nah.
Well, they've already
Admittedly,
got
the first batch of Star Wars Lego games, which was 4, 5, and 6, we 100% of that. My brother and I played that from start to finish, collected
You are
everything.
a true Jedi.
It was incredible. I really liked that, so I'm thinking about getting this one if it turns out to be true. Hopefully, it comes out in December as well. But we don't have a whole heap that we know about it, except for the fact that the guy who voiced General Grievous was the one who spilled the beans.
Yeah.
So good on him.
He's also the one of the directors for Skywalker Sound.
Oh.
Yeah, he happens to do General Grievous' voice as well.
Who knew? Look, that's the major news for this week. Of course, Star Wars Celebration was huge. We haven't covered off on everything. We also had so much Disney news with Disney Plus. If there's anything that we've missed, comment below and let us know what you'd like us to discuss in the last 5 minutes of the podcast or so. But before we say goodnight, we want to talk about what we've been watching and playing this week. And it has largely been a week of watching stuff. Obviously, Game of Thrones. I'm going to kick it off with that because I care about it. Did anyone else watch it?
I haven't watched it yet.
You're all useless.
Well, tell us how you watched it, Mark.
Yeah,
Where
it's
were
a
you
story
when
in
you watched
itself. It's almost as epic as
Well-
I'm sure the episode was.
I was coming back from the Great Barrier Reef. Excellent day. Chased a turtle. It was great. And obviously the episode had been out. And I had managed to make friends with this bloke from the Gold Coast on the way there because he had a Game of Thrones t-shirt on. And I was like, we got to have a chit-chat.
beeline. Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? You know, we were heading out there 8 o'clock in the morning, so we had a few hours. After like 5 hours of snorkeling, he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and we had nothing to do for this hour and a half trip back to Cairns. And he's like, Game of Thrones? I'm like, you got 4G? He goes, I do. Anyway, so we huddled around his phone. It was me, my fiance, my now fiance, got to get used to saying that,
Hey.
him and his partner, all watching Game of Thrones, this epic season opener on his shitty iPhone 6 with a cracked screen. Terrible way to view it. We had to have subtitles on there just so we could even read and understand what was going on. But you know what? It was a setup episode.
You're sailing through the Great Barrier Reef.
No, I'm sailing home from the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, yeah. So terrible vistas then.
Yeah, well, I don't think I need to look at the landscape. I'd already enjoyed it for, 3 days. It was time for me to get transported back
You
to
went out
Westeros.
there, you go back, you've seen it all.
Yeah,
It's fine.
exactly.
I
We're just
understand.
retreading
I'm
the
from
same
North
ground.
Queensland, it's whatever.
But no, look, it was, I think, a slightly lackluster episode. If people, just because it's been 2 years since we've had an episode at all, people were expecting bombshells. And even though there was some really nice smaller moments where you got to enjoy seeing characters interact and finally come back together, there wasn't anything over the top in terms of an action scene to really make you think this was a great episode in terms of progressing the story in an action sense with the White Walkers. In fact, the one part of the story where the White Walkers even have influence, you don't see them, and to be honest, it was really confusing because they don't really tell you where you are, and unless you know the characters that you see there, you won't have any idea what's going on at the time. I had to look it up online, so slight disappointment in that regard, although I think the next episode will be bigger and better. That's my Game of Thrones spiel. Does anyone want to say what they watched or played this week? I think, Jules, you had a video game, so we'll skip you. Dave, you watched Hellboy.
I did. I went and saw the new Hellboy.
I've read some really bad reviews.
Man, it is getting pumped.
Yeah.
I mean, the critics are destroying it.
Yeah.
And it's a little... I don't know. It's not that bad. I had fun watching it. I went and seen it at IMAX, so you never have a bad experience in IMAX. I'm quite a fan... I don't know if I'd say I'm a fan of Del Toro's versions of the character from way back in the early 2000s. So I was kind of looking for a new version of it, and this version has a lot of attitude. It's got really cool style, like the music is very heavy metal and awesome like that. So I really dug that, but where Del Toro got it right was with characters and story, and this one does not do that well.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's almost like they've tried to cut it so efficiently, yet it's still a 2-hour movie, but it just moves along so fast that you never get a chance to actually grasp the characters or what's going on. It's kind of like you're just jumping from one cool thing to the next cool thing, which watching it in IMAX, I just eventually just switched off and was like, oh, look at the thing he's killing now. It's very bloody and violent, and there's heavy metal music, and I'm just rocking out to this. And then after
Does
I
it
was
leave
like,
it open for a sequel?
yes, which won't happen.
It's not going to
It
make
has
enough money.
flopped so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe how, like, Shazam is destroying it. Pet Sematary is destroying it. Everything that's out at the moment. And then, like, Endgame comes out next week. So, it's all over. Sorry,
It's
Hellboy.
done and dusted.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
complete opposite to Hellboy would be a conversational movie in the back of a taxi, which is basically what you watched, Meso, with Green Book.
I watched it on a plane with Green Book. I loved it. It was one of the best
fantastic.
movies I've seen in a long time, and especially because it's an original. Was it made a movie before, or was it?
No,
It's off a
it's
book
based
anyway.
off a book,
So
yeah.
it's not. Yeah, So it's not a sequel or a prequel or a remake. So I loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
It's one of the very few times that I've actually agreed with the Best Picture Oscar. Because
Yeah.
it won Best Picture, and
Yeah.
everyone blew up about it. But I
Yeah.
was like, it's a fantastic movie.
And,
Great
and,
characters,
and
great.
Vigo, who's Aragorn.
Oh, love me a bit of Vigo.
He
Yeah.
plays the exact opposite
Yeah.
of what Aragorn is.
Yeah.
So he's an incredible actor. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Good to hear. Jules, last cab off the rank, my friend.
What you got?
You've been playing something.
I
And
did,
you
but
haven't been impressed.
I've been impressed.
Have you?
Whoa! Putting words in his
I
mouth,
could have
man.
sworn earlier you were like, World War Z.
You obviously didn't hear me right.
All right.
It's
I must
pretty
have-
much like an updated Left 4 Dead game. We haven't had a Left 4 Dead 3 come out. I don't know if you played the other games, but it's basically 4 players making their way through a level, hordes of zombies. But these are actual hordes of zombies. Like you see those scenes in World War Z when they're climbing over each other to get over walls.
Oh, I remember the awesome poster of
Yeah,
they're all
yeah,
climbing
yeah.
up
Well,
trying to get the
that's
helicopter.
happening in game.
Oh, wow.
So you get to certain sequences in a map, parts in the map, and you have to quickly like grab a bunch of barbed wire, grab a turret, set up this, and then it goes 3, 2, 1. Hordes of zombies just start flying at you, and you've got to try and take them all out at once. I was tried playing like the deathmatch version of online, and I was really bad, and everyone just quit my team and joined. No, they joined the other team, and then they all ganged up on me.
Oh, savage.
So I've only played it like 2 hours. So
Is it just multiplayer?
Gotta love
no,
bullying.
you can do a single player with computer AI.
Oh, like bots.
Yeah,
Okay. So there's no like, it's not a story.
There's no
game at all.
real story element, but there's like a variety of different levels that you
Okay.
can play through, and they kind of have a story to it. And one more thing before I forget,
Oh.
Santo.
He's going to get a potato cake.
What has he got? I genuinely don't know what this is. So,
Oh,
how long has it been? My God of War. When did I lend this to you? About 6 months
Game
ago?
of the Year episode.
Oh,
Well before Christmas.
I finished it and I loved it.
Yep, it's good.
And I had so many questions at the end, and I really hope they do.
Do you agree?
Do you agree
Game of the
now
Year
that it
for
won our
last
Game
year?
of the Year?
I think it definitely
Yeah.
Game of the Year.
Better than Spider-Man.
Better than Spider-Man.
There you go.
Better than Spyro.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Seriously. Yes, better than
Never mention Spyro, okay? My God. Look, that is our show for this week. Please tune in next week for our big Avengers episode. It won't be out. In fact, it will be the day it debuts, so I'm going to have to be a little bit reserved in what I say, but I'll give you my review for the huge finale to what has been deemed, is it the Infinity Saga? I think that's what they're calling it. 22 episodes, all culminating in this one big 3-hour and 2-minute movie. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me once more. I think the show went relatively well. Let us know what you think in the comments
Please
below.
share this video as well. Give it a share. If you're listening to it back, please share it on your social medias.
Yes. We need to get out there, guys. Help us out.
We're starting. We're doing all right. Look, we got posters this week, all right? We're slowly building the set. It's sounding better. It's looking better. Yeah. We're getting there. By all means, do not look up the hashtag don't spoil the end game, and you'll be happy for this week. Thank you again for watching, and good night.